On Saturday the 8th of May, we left Dartmouth at 7:15, destined for Falmouth. The apparent wind was light as we ran before it, motor sailing to Start Point, but it increased as we hardened up after rounding the point.
Where we did come clearly ahead of any other party in both seats and boats, that an agenda would be applied that was very much against what that very large proportion of the vote.
Heading towards Bolt Head, we saw a yacht heading out of Salcombe. That was the first yacht we'd seen since leaving Poole. Hardening up for Falmouth after Bolt Head, the wind picked up enough to need a reef for an hour or so, but then eased to about force 3 to 4. The course brought us close by Eddiston Lighthouse, and it looked as though the Plymouth racing fleet was heading there as well. The current lighthouse was built in 1882, but there have been 5 in all. The first was completed in 1698 by Henry Winstanley. After it took a severe battering during its first winter, it was substantially altered to make the second in 1699. That lasted until 1703, when it disappeared during the Great Storm along with Winstanley. The third was built in 1709. It was again wooden and lasted until 1755, when it burnt down. The fourth attempt, Smeaton's Tower, was built in stone in 1759 and lasted until 1882, when it was found that the rock it stood on was cracking. The present Douglas Tower was built in that year, and Smeaton's Tower was dismantled, apart from the base, and rebuilt ashore on Plymouth Hoe. The wind disappeared as we entered Carrick Roads, and we dropped sail to motor in. As we did so, we nearly ran over a basking shark, who gave a flick of his tail and moved over. The first chore of the next day was to get some washing done before we ran out of clean clothes. I then went off to get some fuel. I've been running on white diesel for a couple of years, both because diesel heaters do not really like high sulphur fuel, and to keep the Belgians off my back. At home, collecting a can of white diesel from the garage and running it down in the car is easier than visiting MDL. But when cruising in England, finding white diesel is generally a painful exercise. The nearest garage we could find was over a mile away, at the bottom of the sort of hill us Suffolk folk are not used to. Although I brought a small trolley along, I needed a shower when I got back. In the afternoon we visited the National Maritime Museum, whose tower is in the centre of the picture. This is a view from the tower looking back towards the town. I was somewhat disconcerted to find that the Firefly F1 was hanging from the rafters. I'd sailed that boat in my youth. On Monday the 10th of May we slipped at 6:30, heading for the Scillies. The tide was ebbing as we passed Black Rock. We started motoring with a main up, but dropped it twisted.
Scrabbling to find out and now in the United States and what the threat is to Americans.
By 7:40 we were abeam the Manacles. By 8:55 we were abeam the Lizard. We saw no further yachts or ships, but followed the progression of the Scillies all the way from Penzance to the Scillies on AIS. Land's End was just a distant outline in the haze. By 12:40 we were abeam Wolf Rock Lighthouse, and shortly afterwards the wind picked up to 17 knots, allowing us to sail the rest of the way.